Well, hello there. You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. I hope you are all well on this wonderful, wicked Wednesday. That's it, baby. It's Wednesday and it's the midweek hump. And we all love a midweek hump. Did that on purpose. Someone yesterday said that they missed that. Anyway, how you doing? I hope you're all well. We're going to get straight into the meat and potatoes. As today, we are going to completely confirm that TP USA lied. Now, with respect to the Charlie Kirk death, we can point the fingers of blame and say this is something that led to his death, with a lot of scrutiny going towards the security team. The security team, the leader of the security team, he literally has done interviews and tried to make out like he wasn't in the wrong, and that's had different kind of, how can I say, effects on people. Some people have offered support, some people have seen through the bollocks and raised more concerns. But I think, and I've said this multiple times, when it comes to Charlie Kirk's death, even a child would have been able to look at that setup and raise concerns. And not only would they be able to raise concerns, they'd have likely been able to tell you what the concerns were, that this was indeed a sniper's haven. And at the very, very least, there should have been aerial surveillance, which has brought up consistently the question over drones. Why weren't drones put in the air? With some suggesting, and even, which we're going to look at later, even the security team themselves using the excuse that drones were not up because of legalities and legislations and not being able to put stuff up in the air. And I'm calling out bullshit on that, and we're literally going to prove that this was a lie. So strap yourselves in, because it is absolutely undeniable now that Charlie Kirk's life could have been saved. And all it would have taken was a drone for less than $1,000, around $700, even less than that. But if you want to go to a real good one that would have done the job perfectly, it would have cost around $850. So just think, you could have still had Charlie Kirk on screen if they'd have wanted to have spent that money. But anyway, let's get into it. So first of all, I had to look at the legislations themselves to see if they were in line with the UK and what the UK is like. Now, for those of you who have been around the channel for a long time, you'll remember that I've flown drones. I've literally done videos of drone footage previously. And this has led me to here. So we're going to go on to this here. So for Utah specifically, obviously there are restrictions around state parks and national parks, and it says about private property you would need the permission. So this all moves in line with the UK. And there seems to also be a legislation around the weight. It's the weight of the drone that is incredibly important, because when you bring the weight of the drone down below the 250 gram weight, you then start to be able to ignore a lot of the legislations. A lot of the legislation surrounding drone flying comes into effect as soon as you go over a specific weight. And this weight has to be the drone and battery in combination. So not just the drone itself and you ignore the weight of the battery. When the whole thing is together and in flight, the drone cannot be over 250 grams. And that's when you then lead into problems. And we're going to get to a massive contradiction in a minute, but this is important to understand that their own legislations around the area seems to suggest that drones can be flown. There are certain restrictions, but was this area restricted? And that's the important thing, and we're going to get into that. This is the drone that could have been used. This here is a DJI Mini 5 Pro. It's a pro-level drone. For you and I can go out and buy it. It's not something that a commercial company would use for certain commercial jobs, but this is a Hasselblad lens, 4K footage, and an extremely good piece of kit. DJI themselves being one of the leaders in drone technology. And you can see here in the UK, this is £979. And this comes in under, with battery, at 249 grams. And you can buy like a Fly More combo, so you can have multiple batteries in there as well, because a battery lasts approximately 36 minutes. So it would be that you would probably have two of them up and just rotate them round. So as one comes down, another goes up. So you've got consistent aerial footage. But this is a 249 gram drone that would go beyond the reach of certain restrictions and offer chef's kiss footage of this event. And then we have to head over here next, because this is where the contradiction comes into place. So it's important to understand, and this is Wolves and Finance. Now, Wolves and Finance did a video called Top 10 Clowns of the Year. So if you haven't seen it, go over to Wolves and Finance and watch Top 10 Clowns of the Year. But if we come all the way through the Turn and Point, the Wolves and Finance video, he does a segment on Turning Point. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, I know what he's going to do, because he did a video on the financials of Turning Point USA. And I'm going to be talking about that in a live later on today, because the IRS has subsequently come out and said that this is all BS, but he doesn't talk about the financials. He actually talks about drones. Let's have a quick listen.
One clown of the year is Turning Point. Now, I have done a couple of videos on Turning Point's IRS filings, but I will give you an even bigger reason. The employees at Turning Point keep lying about what happened the day that Charlie Kirk was murdered, and I will give you just one quick example. I'm going to show you two different video clips, and I want you to put your detective hats on. Can you determine the lie between these two videos?
And before we watch it, it's important to understand, like, one of these clips is going to be Frank Turek. And we've covered Frank Turek because apparently it was Frank Turek who had turned around and said, look, I don't feel happy about this area. As they're pulling into where this is going to take place, he raises with Charlie and says, look, Charlie, I'm not happy. Something isn't right. There's too many buildings around. So again, it's like what I said. Even a child would have been able to look at this area and determine that there was a potential risk to safety here. And what we have to consider is Charlie Kirk would have been, and this has been apparently confirmed, that he had received death threats, and he had literally spoken prior to doing this event that he was scared that somebody was going to take his life. And this is all stuff that is out in the public eye. You can try and dispute it if you like, but that's what is being said. And this is why this is important. Listen.
The first video is a recent interview of Turning Point's chief of security.
I spent thousands of dollars on drones last year and got the guy's license. But if the area lies in the Provo, Utah airspace, I can't fly it. That's a 107B. We can't break the rules, right? And then you had secondary restrictions, probably due to heavy foot traffic for the school. But I can't go in and break the rules. There's laws for a reason. And so now the school could have flown drones, the PD, but they didn't have them.
So did you hear that? So in one hand, he's saying that there are restrictions on the drones, foot traffic, whatever. But again, a lot of these restrictions are then come under the weight of the drone. You can't fly drones of a certain weight over people's heads, and you also have to stay within a certain distance of people. You can't literally fly them fucking a foot over people's heads, do you know what I mean? So there are restrictions on flying, but you can get around them, again, using specific drones, specific weights, and staying at specific distances. But he literally, in the next breath, turns around and says, well, the college could have flown drones, the police could have flown drones, right? So the college, that was the important thing there. The college could have flown drones. And then you have to think, well, is that because this is classed as private property? So they hold the ultimate decider over who can fly drones over their, what would be in effect their airspace, their area. But let's continue.
But Orem PD has a drone unit active and professional, and that police department, I will tell you right now, is awesome. They get it. They were there. They helped both on the soft side and the hard side. And so I started asking questions like, "Do you guys have a drone unit?" Yeah, good. Do you have an MOU or a mutual aid agreement with the school? And they're like, "Yeah." I said, "Did they call you and ask for assistance?" No. I'm like, why wouldn't you call?
Here's an interview.
So we've got seemingly confirmation that some people do have drones, and he's asking whether the university themselves has requested assistance from that unit. So already we're starting to see the lines blurred between, well, what is the issue here then? Is there drones? Aren't there drones? Are we blanket saying, well, you can't put drones up because that's the legality of things. You can't do that.
With Frank Turek, who was also there that day.
So we're driving in, Megan, and his team has drones up looking at the crowd from above, and they text him some video. And there's thousands of people there an hour before the start. And I said, "Charlie, I don't like this place. There's too many buildings."
So was there drones or wasn't there drones?
So literally, you've then got, and we're going to watch something else in a second, which just confirms the whole lot. So we've literally got the chief of security, who we have considered fucked up on this day, because ultimately your security team, who are going to be, but they're going to be paid a shit ton of money. They're always out with Charlie. They're always there in the background, making sure that he's safe. And in this situation, which again just seemed like a sniper's haven, they just happened to not be on the ball. He then does an interview, as you've just seen there, and says, well, we couldn't fly drones, couldn't do it, can't break the law, yada, yada, yada. And then some blurry line shit between, well, they could have flown drones, but they didn't have drones. These people had drones, but they weren't asked to use drones. And now you've got Frank Turek literally saying that his team, I'm suggesting that he's saying Charlie's team had drones up in the air, and they literally sent him footage from the air. So this could play into Charlie Kirk when Frank Turek raises issues and says, look, I'm not happy with this. And Charlie apparently turns around and says, no, I trust security. I trust it. Well, you're going to say that, aren't you? You're going to say that you trust it, and you're not going to see the roofs and the buildings as a concern if you think your security team have got drones in the air and they are sending you footage of them buildings. Do you see what I mean? That's the issue here. Of course, Charlie Kirk was feeling confident that he was safe. If he was told that his team had drones in the air and they were confirming that by sending him footage from the air, then why would he have any reason to feel unsafe? And just to absolutely make sure that people understand that there are drones, and drones can fly in this area, we just need to watch one other video, which is this one here.
We have the drone footage of this incident, viewers, emerging out of the Charlie Kirk incident. As the drone footage also gives us the idea about when the shooting and how exactly.
So we've literally got footage of drones in the air in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk case. Now, some people turn around and say, well, that's clearly they've put drones in the air because that's law enforcement and they're showing up. But I don't think that is. I think that is actually potentially news stations that have put their own drones up in the air to get footage and try and get eyeballs on there. Because I don't think the police would be sending drones up to look in there when they can just go in there themselves. And if they did, I don't know whether they'd be sharing it with media, who would be putting that drones up? And in my opinion, this drone footage is likely news stations or people who want to try and get a scoop with drone footage and send it into news stations. It doesn't make sense to me that this would be law enforcement drones being sent up. Let me know what you think. But that is, I believe, undeniable proof and evidence that yet again Turning Point USA did indeed lie. There was huge contradictions between what the security or the head of security is saying and what Frank Turek is saying. Literally with Frank Turek completely contradicting and saying that Charlie's team had drones in the air while they say that they couldn't put drones in the air because of the legalities of doing so. And again, I must raise so much concern around that statement about Charlie Kirk saying to Frank Turek that he was safe and he felt that he could trust the team around him, because that absolutely does, as aforementioned, make sense that he would say that if he did indeed believe that his security team were in fact using drones and he'd been sent footage to prove it. Where is that footage? If they did put drones up, where is that footage? If they didn't put drones up during that shoot, and then why the fuck not? Love you all. Let me know down below what you think. Mwah.